Good evening, good evening. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Vicky. Welcome to those who know me and those who do not know me. My name is Vicky Johnson. Thank you for joining in and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. But I want to come on here and talk about some real issues that we all face, you know, um, life issues. As you know, the other night I came on and I was talking about the economy and how everything has skyrocketed, even the groceries, the gas. It depends on which state you're in. I know here in Texas we're paying $3 and something, like $2.79 to $3.50. It depends on where you go and what kind of car you drive. But I know some states are $5, $6, $7, $8 or more. It just depends on where you live. And the cost of living, when I say where you live, I know here in Texas, the rent has increased double and triple in most places, making it so hard for people to live, and it's not affordable anymore. Like where I live, it's just out of the box, ridiculous. I mean, a small one bedroom, 500 and some square footage may cost you 1,500. Then if you want a bigger one bedroom, you're actually looking at 14 to 1,700, and that's probably a 6 or 700 square footage place. Here where I live, I know you can pay up to 2,300 just for a 2-bedroom. Now that is very sad. So I have been looking on the internet. I have been doing my research as far as visiting places. Everything is going up. And I had mentioned about the housing crisis, how everything have went up as well, because I have looked at RVs. I have looked at mobile homes or manufactured homes. I have looked at module homes. I have looked at tiny homes. And what else I have looked at? That's about it, I think. I hope I'm not missing anything. But I have been looking, and the prices are not getting better. Everything is based on your income and your credit score. So it's making the poor people poor and homeless, just getting out of there. And so I had been looking for homes, and when I look on the internet, and especially when I go on YouTube trying to get some ideas and look at the tiny homes, and I see more people are posting videos on living in their cars or vans just to make ends meet. It has gotten that bad here in the United States. And I have looked at some videos of people who decide to leave the States and go to the international countries and live. They decide to go to Mexico or further on Canada, wherever, because most of them that decides to go to Mexico, they said it is much cheaper to live. But then on the flip side, I hear these extra and hidden fees that they have to pay once they get there in those foreign countries. So I guess it's just the up and down situation. I guess you have to really count up the costs and do your research and just ask the right questions. I always say that. Ask the right questions, you know. And sometimes we can ask the right questions. Sometimes we can do our research and it's still not enough. I was looking at this video yesterday, and the young lady said she did all of her research. She asked the right questions, but when she got there in Mexico, it was just like, she was all these hidden fees, the extra fees, you know. She wanted to bring some of her belongings over from the States over to Mexico, and it was so expensive. It was so expensive, and she said if she'd known that I think she said the first 6 months, if she was there, she could have brought it over with her at a cheaper price, at a reasonable price. So, you know, but she said she didn't know that. So, you know, sometimes we can ask the right questions, and we won't know until we get into that predicament, you know, transferring our stuff from the United States to a foreign country. Also, she mentioned about the bank drafts, how expensive they are. You know, she left her bank account in the United States, but finally she had to open up account in Mexico because of the fees were so high, the transfer fees of getting her money from the States to put on her, I guess, her Cash App or whatever, her Zelle, but she was transferring money over to live, you know. And these are things that we really, really need to address and learn and know how to survive out here in this world, because this world is greedy. You know what I'm saying? Money, 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 money. And if you don't have money, if you don't have the credit to get things on credit, the credit that they need, the credit score that they're looking for, then, you know, you just have to figure out some things. Myself, I can, you know, testify. In order for me to make it, I have to have a second job. I have to have side jobs, you know, in order to make it. So, and sometimes, to be honest or transparent, it's still not enough, you know. And that's why I'm doing all of my research that I can about moving into a home. Because I feel like if I buy my own home or get something that I can afford, I don't have to worry about paying rent all the time. Get that mortgage payment in, or pay something right out and fix it up. I don't know. I might buy something that I can fix up. You know, take my time and fix it up the way I want it fixed, you know. So I was thinking about that, but also I have been following some people on Facebook. I have been following some people on YouTube that are giving great tips on how they are surviving. They just went out there and say, you know what, I'd rather take this chance out here buying a van that I can convert into a living unit, okay? Or they can get an old RV and fix it up and convert it into a nice unit that they can live comfortable, debt-free, you know. Then you have some that want something real nice, where they buy it and have payment plans, and they travel just all over the world, wherever they want to, in their RV attached to their truck. Or some kind of utility that can pull the RV home. So you have those options too. And I'm weighing out a lot of options here, but I know the van life is definitely out because, like I said on my last video, I got to have a bathroom. Okay. So some of them do have a bathroom, but I just have to have the room where I can shower in my own privacy, and the other in my own privacy. So they do have some RVs that's big enough, but you know, the roomer that you get, the more rooms that you get, and you want the room, you have to pay more. And but that's just the option I'm thinking about. And I think it might be fun for me if I can just learn how to, I guess, maneuver around in it. I did talk to someone yesterday when I was out, just getting out the house, you know, and I saw this guy on this motorcycle, and I had stopped to use the restroom and get me a cup of water. And when I was coming out, I said, boy, that's a nice bike you have. It was a gray Harley. And he said, well, I just got it, you know, me and my wife, we're gonna travel around. And so it has some luggage where I could put luggage in, and where I could just, you know, be comfortable on it. Especially it's two-seater for my wife. She can sit in back and she can help me, you know, it's like an automatic. I said, well, do you have to have CDL license? He said, no, you don't have to have CDL. I have regular driving license. He said, all you have to have is the insurance. That's it. And, you know, that was like, okay. But you can't live on a motorcycle. But I was always thinking about learning how to drive one. And my hindrance was, I got to get my CDL license. So that's not true. That's not true. You don't have to have it. So he paid for it, and he's making payments on it, and him and his wife enjoying life. You know, they have a little home, you know, and he said they just get on their bike and they just travel. And so I was thinking about that because a few years back, before the pandemic and everything hit, I wanted to learn how to drive a motorcycle. Y'all excuse me. So I wanted to learn how to drive a motorcycle and just, excuse me, and just get on it and go when I wanted to, you know. So you can always, you know, go to a hotel or live in a cabin or wherever. And so that was one of my options right there, but that was before the pandemic. Now, to speed it up, that's still on my bucket list, but it was good to know that I had an option to get me a Harley. I want a Harley Davidson, and I want the not the 3-wheeler, but the 4-wheeler. So is it 4-wheeler or 3-wheeler? But I forgot how many wheels that he had, but it was comfortable. It's just like a little, you push this button and you click it. It was just so simple, you know. And but anyway, I would love to have one that I can feel safe and comfortable on. But I have looked at some videos about people living in vans, RVs, whatever. So I want to share this testimony that I found on YouTube, and I have my screen up, and I just want to give y'all a little snippet of how this person felt about economy and everything that is going on in his life. So just listen up. I'm not going to show you the video, but it is on YouTube where you can go and look at it free of charge. And if you want to share it out, you can. But here's a snippet.
Behind to carry my motorcycle and some camping gear in there. So I'll just address gas mileage right away. In this current setup, I'm getting about 12 miles per gallon on average. Without the trailer, I was getting about 14. And I am very conscious of my driving habits. I actually drive quite slow and accelerate very slow. I'm a 55 miles per hour driver most of the time. So I think that contributes to my gas mileage. A lot of people with this exact same van get a lot less, but I'm pretty easy on the gas pedal. Sometimes the gas mileage will drop a little bit if I'm doing a lot of mountain driving, hill climbing, and if it's really, really windy out. So, but overall, I'm getting about 12 miles per gallon. So we're going to use that as kind of a base for the numbers that I'm going to share with you. So we'll get right into the numbers and talk about how it's been going so far. I'm going to be basically talking about from January 1st, the beginning of this year, to currently, which is approaching the last week of May. So it's going to be like a five-month report on my expenses so far. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's get right into this. I'm just going to share really quickly how I kind of keep my records. Very simple, not very professional at all. I just use envelopes for my gas receipts. I have two, one for the van, one for the motorcycle. I think I said already, getting about 12 miles per gallon on the van. I get about 75 to 80 miles per gallon on the motorcycle. I just keep an envelope, put gas, van 2023 on the front, put January 1st, 2023 with my mileage at that time. Then come the end of the year, I'll put my ending mileage for the year so I know how many miles driven per year without having to go through all the receipts, which I end up doing anyway. But I will just say real quick as a disclaimer, I make YouTube videos. I've been doing that for, 8 years now, maybe going on 9 years. Been on the road for, this is my 10th year. So started YouTube about a year after living in a van, and I make a little bit of money from the ads that you see before and after my videos. So that income, I kind of claim my YouTube as a business, and I can write off the gas mileage, which really helps offset the taxes that I get. They tax pretty heavy on the ad revenue. So that is very helpful. So I didn't do that all along. I just started doing that in the last couple of years, and it's greatly reduced the amount that I owe from the YouTube income. And then with my seasonal jobs, same things. If I'm at a location, wherever I'm at, before I start moving towards that seasonal job, I can track that mileage as well, and that offsets for the taxes that I get taxed on that seasonal job. So anyway, inside the envelope are all the receipts so far for the last 5 months. Mileage on each receipt, so I can calculate my miles per gallon and just know where I'm at with my mileage. Do the same for the motorcycle, so I'll get right into the numbers. I have so far for the first 5 months of this year, I'm going ahead and saying even though this month isn't over, I just filled up, that tank will last me to the end of the month, so we're just going to say 5 months. So on the van, I have driven 2,352 miles. That has cost me $794.94 in gas. On the motorcycle, I have driven 2,125 miles. That has cost me $79.69 in gas on just the motorcycle. So for that first 5 months of this year so far, on average, I've spent $158.98 per month on gas for the van and $15.93 per month on the motorcycle. So that high efficiency on the motorcycle, I mean, it's amazing. Almost driven the same amount of miles and almost $800 compared to almost $80 in gas. So very, very efficient on the motorcycle. That was the idea with me getting that. Allows me to get to a base camp with the van, use the motorcycle for exploring around the area that I'm visiting, run into town if I need to keep my grocery stock up. It's just become an integral part of how I live this lifestyle. So I'll go ahead and break it down. That $158.98 per month for this first 5 months on the van gas costs, that's an average. So I'll break it down per month to kind of illustrate how I live my lifestyle. The winter months, I really slow my roll. That is the time of the year where a lot of the states that I really would enjoy visiting are having extreme winter weather, and that's something that I don't want to be in. So I head to the Southwest, Arizona, New Mexico area, and it's just a lot warmer, and I can hang out there. There's a lot of public land. I can camp for free and not move around much. So that's how I really save my money. So for the month of January 2023,
Free
I spent
camps.
$68.65 in gas. That's like, as a nomad living on the road, like people think you spend all this money in gas, but I mean that's hardly anything. When I was renting an apartment and commuting to work every day, it was just insane how much I was spending in gas and the miles I was driving. So for February, $49.72. For March, $67.86. For April, $97.25, a little bit more driving come April. And in May, $511.46. And that was because we did a big drive. Kelly's mom passed, we got the news, and we just immediately started driving to where her mom is up in Washington, and just needed to be there for her dog and for Kelly to start addressing, taking care of everything that goes with losing a family member. So just want to real quick just address, I did a quick community post on that and on Instagram, and it just got a huge outpouring from you guys. Just loving, positive support is very much appreciated. Kelly is going through it, and just appreciating the love and support from you all. So we're getting through it. So anyway, that's abnormal for me. Normally I do not drive that much in a 2-day period, let alone a whole month. So that was 1,191 miles, and that cost me $511.46. So still, on average, though, with that big jump, that still kept me right around $160 per month in gas for the year so far. So that's how I do it. I just try to live within my means. I keep my, I know how much I have for a budget. I typically budget $300 a month for gas, and that's high-end maximum. I really try to keep it below that. So far this year, I'm doing awesome. I'm almost half of that. So, and then with the motorcycle, I think I already said it, 2,125 miles, $79.69, $15.93 a month on the motorcycle. So not much at all. I'll touch on kind of the camp locations, how we managed to do that. Spent most of our winter, actually all of our winter in Arizona. We started out in Lake Havasu City. There's public land just out of town there. Stayed there for a couple weeks. Then we moved into Quartzsite, Arizona. Kelly, we had work at the Big Ten event there that I helped her out with. So we stayed in Quartzsite for almost a full month, moved a couple camps, and that's really helped keep our costs low. Then from there, we moved to Apache Junction, Arizona. We spent a good couple weeks there around the Superstition Mountains. Beautiful, loved our stay there. Then it started getting hot, so we moved up to high elevation, above 6,000 feet, almost 7,000 feet in the Williams, Arizona area. Stayed there for a couple weeks, loved it. And then we knew we were going to be making a slow roll up to Washington State for the summer. We did have plans on visiting Kelly's mom for the summer, and unfortunately she passed before we could get up there. So that was the plan anyway. We just planned on taking a good month and a half to make that drive. So from Williams, we went to Kingman, Arizona, and stayed there. We were going to stay for 2 weeks. We were there for a week before we got the call, and then made the jump there. So that's the locations we used. Arizona is a great winter state for the reason being that there's so much public land. There's so much of it that you can camp for an extended amount of time and not have to drive much. Okay, so I thought I'd just go ahead and include some other monthly expenses just for your information. I do spend money on water. I try to find free water when possible for like showering. Basically keep a 2-gallon bottle that I use for doing dishes, cleaning up, and I have another 2-gallon spray bottle that I use for showering. So 4 gallons of kind of utility water. And then I also have 15 gallons, 3 5-gallon water bottles for my filtered drinking water. So I typically will use these water vending machines. You see them in front of grocery stores, gas stations sometimes. It's a reverse osmosis machine, and it's usually about 25 cents per gallon. So I've tallied up
That's
the
smart.
amount of water that I use per month, and it usually ends up being about $30 worth of water. Gallon-wise, in a 2-week, I kind of go by 2-week periods. I'll usually use a full 10 gallons for drinking water, and then I'll definitely use up the 4 gallons for the utility water, showering and washing up in that. I have the 3 5-gallons, but I rarely in a 2-week period use all 3 of those. It's usually just the 2 10 gallons or so. So that's what I do for water. Cell phone, internet, I spend about $150 between my phone and internet plan. Again, with the internet plan, that I think is about $75 or so, and I can write that off for the business. I pretty much just use it for uploading videos. Propane, I have a propane stove, and that is pretty efficient. I usually have a 1-gallon refillable tank. Propane is usually, $3 or so per gallon, sometimes higher, sometimes lower, depending on the state. Lately, it's been about $3.50 per gallon. That 1-gallon tank will get me by 2 to 3 months usually. Usually, it just depends on what I'm cooking and how much I'm using
not
it.
bad.
But 2 to 3 months, I think, is safe to say. So it ends up being, like for this first 5 months, I think I've only filled it up a few times, so about $10 worth of propane. Comes out to about $2 a month in propane, so pretty nominal for that. My diesel heater, I do have a diesel heater in the van that I use just in the winter time. I'm done using it for the year. So this year, I think I spent about $30 in diesel fuel. Ends up being about $5 per month in the winter months when I need it. So not too bad there. So I'm gonna go ahead and move into the food. Food is my other big expense outside of gas. It's actually, I spend more money on food than I do gas. Again, very common misconception with this nomadic lifestyle. People think you're driving all of these miles and spending all of this money on gas. I've stated this in another video on a similar topic. I drive less miles than I ever have now that I live on the road. Working a normal 9-to-5 job, commuting. I ran my own business doing landscape maintenance for almost 10 years. Basically just driving in circles around town every day, doing people's yards. I drove way more miles per year than I do as a nomad on the road. So that's that. So food, yes, definitely my big expense. I set a budget of about $300 per month, and I will say with the rising cost at the grocery store, it's tough to stay within that $300. I've been going over. I think I've been about closer to $350 per month, if not $400 sometimes. It all depends. Each
and you
month
might
is
come
different.
out the grocery store with 7 to 10 bags for
A lot of things that
$300.
last me a long time, condiments and stuff.
I just
staples,
spent
rice,
$29
dried
for
beans
one
and stuff
bag.
that I stock up on and get by for quite a few months. So those months when I still have that stockpile, I'm just kind of stocking up on the fresh fruits and vegetables, meats. I do have a 12-volt fridge freezer in the camper van.
Fresh
The freezer
fruits
comes in
and
very
vegetables.
handy. I'm able to freeze meats and
$29.
vegetables to store and use over time. So I kind of do a stock up, and that gets me by for a couple weeks. So I've been, again, struggling to keep within that $300 budget, almost impossible. I've had to adjust my diet. I've had to adjust a lot of the normal things that I enjoy eating and buying. I just can't afford them anymore. Eggs skyrocketed there for a while. I just stopped eating
$7 to
eggs.
$9.
So
Come on.
definitely been a hit. Kelly is a very coupon, money-saving, sale-savvy person. I've learned a lot from her using these store apps. Some people don't like using them. They're worried about their information being shared and that, but I try to tap into those. I download a lot of these stores apps where they have special digital coupons, research those and try to save money.
I hate those,
that
but
way in
I
groceries.
try to use
Very
them.
sale-oriented. I price compare, price check items that I get. I'll go with a brand
I do
I'm not
that.
used to getting because it's cheaper just to save money, and I've been doing a lot of that recently. So honestly, with the rising gas prices, I feel that it's just made me kind of be more conscious and drive as little as possible. Still being able to see the things I want to see and do a lot of exploring, but I just, again, keep it within my means. So I would say that the biggest challenge lately has been dealing with the rising food costs. Hopefully there's a drop in prices here soon, but I honestly really don't believe that's going to happen. I think things are just going to get increasingly more expensive.
Yeah.
So again, to touch on the kind of lifestyle I live, if those of you that aren't familiar with my documentation over the years on my videos, I usually do a seasonal job or two per year. That involves usually a summer job and a fall job, and there's usually a drive involved in that. I'm kind of based in an area, and when it comes close to the time for the seasonal job, I'll make a drive. I've been doing up to the Northwest to park my van, fly to Alaska, work the salmon industry on a boat, and then fly back to my van. I put my van in storage, and that's how I kind of make my money to be able to survive and pay for all this gas and food. And then also in the fall, I've been doing the farm work up in North Dakota with the sugar beets, although I haven't done that for the last few years. And a lot of that has been the cost of driving there. It's a long jump just for that job. I'm kind of exhausted exploring those surrounding areas there, and there's just not much of a draw. The money isn't that good. So when I found this salmon industry job in Alaska, I was able to just work that job, and with the revenue, the royalties from the YouTube videos, kind of gets me by for the year, and I'm able to still save money as well. Have a savings account, IRA, independent retirement account. People always ask about that. Think I'm just floating along. Healthcare, I usually don't touch on because it just varies so much from person to person, from state to state, where your state of residency is. So I'm just not a professional on that. They don't have a lot to share as far as that. You just got to do your own research based on your age.
It's
and
the
health
old
conditions and
Obama
and it really shouldn't change much if you already have health care. You just need to hit the road. I would just maintain what you have and go with that. That's about it. I'm going to wrap it up. I feel like this has gone longer than I intended, so I hope the information was useful for some of you out there. And I'm going to take the next couple minutes to share some personal stuff on what's going on and how I'm going to handle this summer coming up and my travel plans.
So, let me see if I can get his name. Let me dismiss this. So, the video is Rising Cost of Living - Van Life Expenses Report, May 2023. So, it was very informative of how he has a plan, and he told you about the rising cost of gasoline and food, and he have figured out a plan, and that's what we have to do, figure out some plans that will work for us, So he was driving around in the neighborhoods. He started off like that, but the videos that I look at now, when people are in RVs or in their vans and they traveling, most of them do travel to Arizona. The cost of living must be pretty reasonable, and it's some free spots up there that you can camp out at, or it's some free spots that you probably can camp out overnight. You probably can camp out a couple of days. I don't know, but I do follow this other young lady that lives in Arizona, and she has a van. And she was talking about different campsites. It's a list that you can join this community, this RV community, and it gives you different sites to go to, and it will let you know if that site is safe or unsafe, or it has trouble, had trouble in the past. It'll give you the amount of money, the cost of living there, and some of them have to pay for water, utilities, not utility hookups, but it's the solar light system that they have to put on top of their van sometime, or it's like a little generator that they can hook up. So they charge so much, to use the bathroom, to use the water, to use the electricity. You can get all the hookup and details at different sites there. And to be honest, Arizona was on one of my bucket lists, just to go and visit and check out the scenery there, because like I said, I am just not going to just put Texas in a little old box. My thing is I want to be broad. I want to be open to get the best price, to live safe, because, you know, I am a single woman and I want to really, really make sure that I have really done my research. Now, don't get me wrong, I may start out in Texas, okay? Because this is where I live in Texas. But sooner or later, who knows? I might be in California. You know, one of the most expensive places to live, number one, is Hawaii. Hawaiian is too expensive. They number one. And I think, let me see, California may be number 4 on the list, and New York may be number 5, but they was right there beside each other. So, you know, you don't want to stay in states like that or too expensive to live, because the key thing, you want to live a comfortable life. The key thing, you want to be happy. You don't want to struggle and try to figure out how you're going to pay this bill and pay that bill. Because if you try to go to these states, and they are lovely states, you know, go and visit for a couple of days. But don't try to live there if you know you can't afford to live there. Because you will wind up homeless or wind up back in the box that you're trying to get out of. So count up the cost. Count up the cost before, you know, you try to go there and live, unless you have a plan on staying with family members, you know, in New York or California if you have some, and y'all can split it so many ways. But you might have to sleep on a blow-up bed or a mattress or something like that. And, you know, to me, that won't work for me. If I'm paying $5 something and we all splitting the bills, and I have to come there with a lot of people, and I love my privacy. I really do. Then have to split the bills, and you in the front room on a blow-up mattress? No. And just to say you live in California or you live in New York and you in this tiny, teeny apartment, no. So I just wanted to share some things with you tonight. And having extra income, passive income, will be great. It will be great. So I will continue to do my research on where I will be living in 2024, you know, and I know 2024 is right around the corner next week, but I won't be living nowhere soon that fast, because I have a plan. I'm still doing my research. I'm still looking at these YouTube videos, taking notes. I take notes all the time. Taking notes on the do's and the don'ts, and, you know, taking their advice. And so I will, you know, go from there. And of course, I always put God first before anything. I do that. I'm not saying that you should do that, but this is what I do. I, you know, do my research, but I'm like, God, you got to show me. You got to talk to me. You got to tell me something before I make a move. I have made crazy moves in the past, and it cost me big time. You know, I'm not afraid to say that I have lost everything. I have lost everything and had to start over. And I don't mind starting over. I don't mind starting over. But when I don't think things through, and I don't acknowledge God and ask him, what shall I do? Because if I just jump up and make my own decisions, or if I get in a rut and I'm not thinking and make those bad decisions, I'm going to back up. When I got my divorce in 2027, I was down to nothing, okay? I lost everything. And I tell you, that was a lesson learned. A lesson learned. And I'm not going in detail, but I had lost everything down to nothing. And I learned from that. I had to think for myself. I had to use wisdom and common sense in a lot of things. And I had to have a great plan, okay? Not no one else's plan, but my plan. I had to have a great plan. And I had to sit down with the master. I had to have a good talk with him. So I had to have a plan, but I had to write the vision and make it plain. Okay? So don't think that everything is going to fall in your lap, peaches and creams. If you don't have a plan, you will perish. Okay? So that's why the Bible tells us not to be anxious for anything. Because when we get anxious, we mess up some things. We disrupt some things. And we would say to ourselves, why did I do that? I wasn't thinking. Because you was anxious. You got too anxious. And people know when you're anxious. They know when you're desperate. They know. Because they know what you want to hear, and they will tell you the same thing that you was thinking about, and you hear, hey, but you probably had told them and didn't realize that you was telling them, and they just wait for a little while, and they'll come back and repeat the same thing that you had already told them, but you had forgot, but they didn't. So when you sign that your name on that dotted line, that's how they got you, because you had already told them. If you go to a place and they asking you, what are you looking for in a home? What do you want? How much money do you have to spend or pay down? Is it you or somebody else going to be in there? What are your colors? What do you like in a home? How long are you planning on staying in this home? Are you planning on staying in here 10 years, 7 years? Are you planning on trading this home out and getting you something else? So the information that you give them, they'll take it and absorb it and suck it on in and soak it on in, and they go home with their plan that you have told them what you're looking for. And they'll write everything down. Okay? Just before you close, haven't you noticed everything that you said is in that home? Everything that you wanted is in that home. So when you sign on that dotted line, they're going to call you 6 months. How you doing, Miss Johnson? Everything okay? How's your new home? How you enjoying it? And you say, all right. All right, if you need anything, we got some extra services here. We can find somebody to give you a sprinkling system. We can have somebody do the landscaping. Extra fees. We can have somebody come out and survey. Extra fees. Then that year come, another phone call come. Hey, Miss Johnson, do you think about upgrading or trading that in? Or you know, because we got some specials going on. And they'll bring out that old list. Well, I know you're probably not ready to buy yet, but just come on over and I have this home that I can sell you something you want to look at. And they'll pick out the right home that you have, all the bells and whistles, and there you go. Trading that home in or selling that home for another home that is much higher. Instead of keeping you in debt. And the key thing is being debt free and satisfied. Okay? So I don't know why I went there, but you know, I'm glad I did. It's to help not only me, but people who desire to be debt free and rent free. Okay? All right, I will see you next time on my YouTube video. Y'all make sure y'all like, subscribe, and join the family. What are you waiting on? I noticed you've been looking and visiting. You've been dropping in. Come on and be my friend. That's right. And not only be my friend, but be the family. Come be with the family. All right? Y'all have an awesome night. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.